In this video, I want to talk about perception-dependent processing, and particularly perception-dependent plasticity. And perception-dependent plasticity has to do with, it pertains directly to things like learning and mastery and the meaning that we perceive within a moment, and also within various moments that can form these accumulative learning experiences and accumulative experiences that are meaningful and go directly towards cultivating a meaning process and a meaningful process within itself. It relates directly to developing a psychological, sustainable wellness infrastructure within the self. And perception dependent plasticity has to do with when we're perceiving an aspect of ourself or the surroundings or some aspect that's constituted that forms these constituencies between mind, body, and environment, or mind, body, environment. Uh, so these things are operating in relation to each other. This psychologically stimulates us. It cultivates that meaning when we're engaged in it, or when we're processing that within our perception in particularly. And that perception dependence in the processing is what ultimately is going to lead to that psychological and that nervous system plasticity. So these changes within the mind and brain that are associated with perception has a psychophysiological basis to that. It's going to form these various neural pathways, and it can improve the efficiency of the firing of various neurons. And we know things like psychological stimulation go a long way to directly activating and impacting and influencing the distribution and migration and integration of what's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor and nerve growth factor, which has a lot to do with the, for example, birth of new neurons, the growth in size of those neurons, as well as the connections that they make through the trickling out of the dendrites, which are these branch-like structures to them, as well as synaptic transmission. So you'll see the myelin sheaths of them get thicker, and they become more efficient in their processing speed. But also they start to specialize in terms of the pathway and the structure. This is more associated with that granularity and developing that more advanced or intermediate knowledge towards things like expertise. You'll see they don't have to connect to as many different neurons, but they will when we start engaging in more of these creative lateral processes. But when we become more specialized, they also learn how to fire more efficiently. So they'll still have these adjacent connections, but they'll start to focus on the ones that are most used, and this will allow us to access information and knowledge and various meaning processes more readily. Uh, and it's produced through this continuation of engaging in these meaning processes and meaningful processing that cultivates things like knowledge and information, as well as competence through developing skills and mastery. This occurring primarily through our perceptions and meaning ultimately. Uh, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say about perception dependent plasticity and why that's important for developing this sense of positive well being, and then particularly cultivating a greater sense of positive psychological sustainable infrastructure within the self. And that's all I wanted to say for this video. Enjoy.